Today's Sunrise interview is with Tallahassee City Commissioner Jack Porter. The city of Tallahassee has been grappling with a long corruption probe involving former City Commissioner Scott Maddox, who was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for orchestrating a bribery ring at City Hall that involved prominent vendors and clients of his shady lobbying firm, Governance. There is now calls for ethics reform, and discussion surrounding that has been getting intense online and in person. Here is an exchange from a recent City Commission meeting with Commissioner Jack Porter and Mayor John Dailey.
With that, it is 6:46.
Mr. Mayor, I had my hands up when Commissioner Matlow was speaking.
Commissioner Porter, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. We're done, okay? Is this just a quick comment? Because
well, I had my hand up and Commissioner Williams-Cox.
I understand. I decided to move forward and close out with my comments. You have a quick comment?
I would really appreciate the opportunity to direct my question to Commissioner Matlow. I think the spirit of sharing ideas, I did not take my own time.
Right.
I would really appreciate the opportunity to ask my question.
Okay. We stand adjourned.
And now let's check in with Tallahassee City Commissioner Jack Porter. So Commissioner Jack Porter, welcome to Sunrise. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am seeing the city of Tallahassee really grappling with the fallout from the corruption trials that has just occurred. And I think we're about to see sentencing for another pretty soon. But just wanted to see how the city is coping. Particularly, there was an exchange between you and the mayor that got really intense, where you were trying to chime in on some reforms, ethics reforms, and that was not allowed. So with that, what's going on?
Well, I think that it's had a tremendous impact on the city, not only our amazing employees who had nothing to do with it, but its impact on the public trust. There were ethics reform packages passed before my time on the commission and before we really knew the extent of the corruption that had taken place that came out during the trial. So, what we need to do is still ahead of us, in my opinion. I think there are recommendations from the ethics board that have not yet been considered by the commission. There are recommendations made by Commissioner Matlow, by other civic groups. And I do believe that we need to have a public forum, a workshop of some kind where we really consider how we can keep this from ever happening again. And of course, you cannot make a person good or ethical with policies, but you can protect the city's integrity. You can protect the integrity of our projects and of staff and make sure that we make it more difficult for loopholes and for ways to get around, acting on behalf of the public's best interest.
For those who don't know and those who aren't in Tallahassee that will be listening to this in different cities across the state, what occurred and what are you hoping to get done with these reforms?
Well, I think what we saw was a pay-to-play system where we had a commissioner who was accepting money from consultants, from private interests who were wanting to do business in Tallahassee in exchange for his vote, preferential treatment in exchange for money paid to him through his consulting firm. So that is essentially what occurred. But there was a lot of individuals and consultants and projects that were implicated in this trial that were not necessarily part of the trial, but that were definitely implicated throughout the process and were, in the FBI's findings. So, that needs to be taken super seriously. And I think ethics reform protects all of us.
And that was through former Commissioner Scott Maddox. And at this meeting that you were having, this commission meeting, city commission meeting, what was going on that you were trying to chime in on where you were requesting from the mayor to speak? And that ultimately did not occur. The meeting was adjourned.
Right. So, at the end of every meeting, we have a sharing of ideas where commissioners can bring forth really whatever they want for the good of the body. And the reason that's important is because under sunshine laws, that really is our only opportunity to speak about policy or city business with each other. So I had actually given up my time. I did not have anything for that day. But I did have a follow-up question for Commissioner Matlow, who had made a motion and a proposal about ethics reform and wanting to see some kind of citizens committee formed to make recommendations about where we go next. I had some questions for him, as did another commissioner. She was given her time to ask her questions and address his idea, which I believe was appropriate. But at the end of the meeting, I had been for several minutes asking to speak and was denied that opportunity by our mayor, who instead adjourned the meeting. By our own ethics board and invite the public to speak on those issues and their concerns.
All right. I saw that the mayor did issue an apology and he said he has reached out to you in doing so. How did that go and has it been accepted? Where do you go from here?
So, he did call, he left a voicemail. I have not spoken with him yet. I do accept his apology, of course. We all make mistakes, but I think this goes deeper than that. I think that there has been a pattern during our meetings where we do not allow for open discussion and debate. And that is deeply troubling and disappointing. I hope that we will pass Robert's rules and adopt Robert's rules for the city, which has not formally happened yet. And that the mayor really considers that I was elected just like he was. By the same people who elected him, and the people depend on my ability and our ability to speak on their behalf. And when you silence a commissioner, you really silence the community.
All right. Well, Commissioner Jack Porter, thank you so much for taking this time to speak with me.
Thank you, Trimmel. Take care.